What's going on, everyone? So I talked about the Lakers maybe looking to the Brooklyn Nets because they have an abundance of draft picks. They have the 8th pick, the 19th pick, the 26th pick, the 27th pick, and then the 36th pick, which is the second round, but it's like, right there at the beginning of the second round. So they almost essentially have near 5 first round picks. They're only a couple, slots away from one of those being a second round, but they have 4 first round picks in this upcoming draft. And so, I talked about how hey, maybe the Lakers could look to just trade for those picks directly, right? Are they really going to draft 5 guys in this first round, right? I understand the Brooklyn Nets are likely going to be, kind of hitting the reset button, clearing the deck a little bit here and whatnot. But you're talking like a third of your roster in just draft picks that you'd have to bring on, right? Which means they'd probably have to waive a bunch of guys, right? And do you really want to bring all those? I understand wanting to kind of tank out a little bit and bottom out. But even if you trade Nick Claxton, you're going to have to take on players. Even if you traded Cam Johnson, you're going to have to take on players, right? So if you're the Nets, right, the likelihood that you're going to draft 5 guys in this upcoming draft is probably very slim. They're probably going to look to, trade 2 of those to kind of kick the can down the road a little bit, right? Maybe it's the 36th and the 27th pick, and they kind of take the 8th, the 19th, and the 26th. Based on reports, they're shopping the 19th pick and Cam Johnson to try to move up in the draft and, have 2 lottery picks, right? So far, it doesn't appear like anyone's has bit, but you never know. Never know what might end up happening in that regard. But kind of look at Brooklyn. And in that video where I was kind of breaking it down and talking about it, I threw out the idea of Austin Reaves. And it was just kind of brief in a moment. But then I was thinking about it. And I was like, you know what? Let's talk about this. Let's really break this down here for a moment. Again, just a fun conversation video on what you would do. I talked about it with the San Antonio Spurs, but San Antonio has the 2nd pick, right? And I do believe, I've been as critical of Austin Reaves as anybody, right? I've repeatedly talked about trading Austin Reaves and stuff. So I'm not one of those I like Austin Reaves. I do. I think he's an excellent player. I don't think he's a superstar or anything crazy like that, but I do think he is a guy that would yield probably 2 firsts. You see guys much worse than him go for firsts all the time. I think you at least probably could get 2 firsts, valued for 2 firsts for a guy like him. Rui Hachimura in the right situation probably could potentially go for a first on the right team, a contender, something like that, right? So I look at it and go, I don't know if San Antonio would give you the 2nd and 14th pick, but would Brooklyn give you the 8th and the 19th? Because then they'd still have the 26th, 27th, Austin Reaves, and the 36th pick. Now, obviously, look, you have to probably get salary stuff. If I told you we could trade Austin Reaves and, salary filler, whatever, for the 8th pick, the 19th pick, right? Nick Claxton and a Day'Ron Sharp or Zaire Williams, right? Whatever, take a pick. Right? Maybe even both. Would they be willing to give up both? Because, they'd have to take back 3 guys. Would they give us 3 guys, right? Would you do that trade? I think I do. I think I would, right? Because you get your center for now and the future, right? And Nick Claxton. I would probably want Zaire Williamson if I could, just to give you another young athlete, and then maybe draft a guy at 8. Can you get, Malik, right? Could you maybe get something like that? You have, Derek Queen. Could you maybe get somebody like that, right? Go get maybe your center with the 8th pick. And then you go get a 3-and-D wing with the 19th pick. That could be kind of interesting. So I don't know. I look at it and I go, man, it'd be really hard to do that, right? And let Brooklyn go and pay. Because here's the thing, Brooklyn's one of those teams that could just sign Reaves outright next season, right? So, but the Lakers would want to pony up. And now they kind of get that building block, right? They could trade Cam Johnson, or they keep Cam Johnson, whatever they want to do. They have Clowney, who they want to go. So now you got Austin Reaves, Clowney, plus you still have the 27th, 26th pick, which you could go trade if you're Brooklyn. Brooklyn would still have a lot of options, but now you got a guy in Austin Reaves who's still young enough to kind of do what you want to do with and put the pieces around him, right? To now maybe do something significant, or they could even flip him and trade him at some point. If it was like the 19th pick and like the 26th pick or something, I probably wouldn't do it. As if the Lakers were getting the 8th pick and any of those other picks, I wouldn't care. Right? Like if you gave me the 8th pick and say the 27th and 36th, cool. I'd still probably do that. Right? But if it's like, we'll give you the 26th, 27th pick, even if they gave me the 26th, 27th, and 36th pick, I probably wouldn't do it. Right? Because it's just too high in the draft. Obviously any draft pick is a gamble, but like the further you go, the harder it is to get that guy. And you're praying any of those guys become Austin Reaves. Again, Austin Reaves isn't so good that, it's like, but I look at a team like Brooklyn, like why would Brooklyn want to do that? It's because, well, one, they get an actual proven player that they can kind of give it a year and see, is he a number 1 or number 2 guy, right? Because as the second guy for the Lakers, like whenever LeBron doesn't play, he's averaging 28, 6, and 8. So, can he actually do that for a full season as like the guy, right? Because then that kind of gives them a year to kind of figure out and see what they want to do. And then again, they're a team that they have, like, they're not going to draft 5 guys, right, and bring them in. They're going to end up trading them, whether they trade them after they draft them or not. Like, I would be shocked if they draft all 5 of those picks and all 5 of those guys are on the roster come the start of the season, right? Because again, they're going to make trades. They're going to do things like, even if they just traded Nick Claxton to the Lakers, right? Just trading Nick Claxton to the Lakers. You're talking about them like legitimately, like the Lakers would have to send out at least 2 or 3 guys. Right, so then they have to take that. And then trading Cam Johnson, they're going to have to send out, most teams are probably going to have to send out 2 guys. Right, so they're going to have to take on a bunch of guys, they're going to have to do more stuff. But like, if you could do something, like I said, if you could do like Reaves, Rui, right? Yeah, Reaves, Rui, and then whatever, say Maxi Kleba, right? For Nick Claxton, I would try to if you told me if the Lakers could get the 8th pick, the 19th pick, the 36th pick, Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton, I would give up Reaves, Rui, the 31st pick and connect. Right? Because I probably want to keep the 31st pick if I can. Because you'd be getting 2 first and a second. And then maybe give him the 55th pick, right? Boom, there we go. Okay, so I'd want to keep the 31st pick because then that way you can make up, like you take Gabe Vincent and other things and go, Shake Milton or whatever, go get another piece if you want to. But, again, I'm trying to like work this out on the fly in my head. But I would probably, if we could get the 8th, 19th, and 36th pick, along with Nick Claxton and Cameron Johnson, I would basically trade whatever we had to trade to go get that. Because you get 2 foundation pieces for now in the future, right? Like you get, like in Nick Claxton, he could be your starting center. You could go draft, your backup center if you wanted to, or go draft 2 wings, right? Like I don't hate that idea either, right? Like let's say you were to get Nick Claxton, right? I would then look to maybe can you go get, like I said, 2 wings. Can you go get, because my thought process is, okay, like if you get Nick Claxton, he's young enough to where he's going to be your center for probably the next, 6 to 8 years, right? So do you really draft a Malik and then what? He's coming off the bench for 6 years, or you're bringing Claxton off the bench for 6 years? Like, I don't think that makes sense. You know what I mean? Where I'd rather look, so like with the 8th pick, maybe you're drafting like a Kneppel if he's there, right? There's talks about him maybe moving up to into the top 5. But I mean, because I don't know if you draft a center at that point, right? But like maybe you can get like a Collins Murray, maybe take like a Derek Queen. I mean, he's a center, but a Carter Bryant, right? Gives you like a legit young, versatile 3-and-D wing. I wouldn't hate something like that. Maybe pull him up because it's like, okay, you got Claxton. But I also don't hate the idea of like Zaire Williams. Like I wouldn't sell the farm, but you get like Nick Claxton, Zaire Williams, and or if, again, you just do the trade like Austin Reaves. So like, because they'd have to like essentially match salaries. So like, let's say you didn't do Nick Claxton. Say you just did like Austin Reaves. He's making 13, 14 million, right? So and then you did Zaire Williams and Dayron Sharp, right? Sign and trade to match the salaries, right? I know it hard caps them and all that stuff, but wait, if the Lakers free up their full mid-level or anything like that, they'd be hard cap regardless. And they might incentivize LeBron more because it's like, hey, dude, like we're going to be hard capped. So just to let you know, right? Like if you want more talent, you're going to have to do that. And then maybe he'd be willing to free up your full mid-level exception because you'd have to stay under the apron anyway. So it's like, hey, we're here. But I'm just thinking like maybe do a Zaire Williams, Dayron Sharp, and then, like I said, the 8th and 19th pick for like Austin Reaves. It'd be kind of hard to say no to that, for me at least. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be like, absolutely not. Austin Reaves is, second best player in all of basketball. But, I think it's good. I understand Austin Reaves is proven. I get that. But still a lot of, you can't pretend like there aren't a bunch of concerns about Austin Reaves with this Lakers team. And you might as well sell high while you can. And once he gets his new contract, it's probably going to be harder to trade him. So anyway, just kind of a thought. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.